Welcome back to Talkin Shop with ShopSabre. I'm Brandon, back with the gang. Guys, how we doing today?
Doing good.
Good.
Doing good.
Got Chad, Nick, Travis.
Where are the social media guys?
They went to lunch.
That was an option.
No, they're working on our new website launch,
Pretty exciting.
but they really did go to lunch.
I got to see that for the first time.
They needed a break for why we did this, and then they can come back and work on the website.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, you like the website?
I like it. I think it's going to be awesome.
It's coming Thursday.
It is sweet.
Check it out on Thursday.
At what time?
I don't have a time.
4:11 a.m.
4:11. That's not going to be it. Nope.
Be at 5:04.
Nope. Not going to be 5:04 either.
Yeah, those guys threw me for a loop when I came in. They're already here.
Jose scared
Bright
the
and
living
early.
beep out of me when I walked around the corner. I was here at like 7:10, and I walked around the corner, and he was sitting at his chair, and he's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Son of a bitch, what are you doing here?"
Yeah, you're usually the first
I was
one.
like, "Oh my god."
That's funny.
Yeah, it's a good way to start the day. Wide awake. Didn't need no coffee today.
That's
Wide
funny.
awake.
It's probably a lot of work getting that thing. Everything that is it the website?
Yeah.
Why it was here so early?
Yeah, they're working on the website with it being launch week. We got a bunch of stuff to get done still.
Launch week.
Launch. It's the launch week. We got the launch codes. I just don't know how to use them yet. Haven't figured that out yet.
Give it time.
Give it time. I'll have that figured out by Thursday morning at 4:11 a.m. No, just no, I don't know what time we're going to go live, but it will be Thursday. Thursday.
Maybe.
Maybe.
For sure.
No, for sure
names.
Thursday. It's Thursday. It's Thursday's launch day. But yeah, what'd you guys do this weekend? Anything fun?
Golf. Birthday
You
party.
golfed this weekend?
Both days.
It was cold as heck.
Got to get it in.
Gotta get it in.
It's only a few weeks left.
no
We're
snow
gonna-
on the ground yet.
Then it's going to be Travis season.
It's Travis season.
I don't mess around with the snow. I stay inside.
Can't blame you. Nick, you got to go to a Wild game.
I did. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, you got to meet the GM.
GM.
You got to meet the GM of the Minnesota Wild.
Dude's got the world's biggest hands.
Does he?
Yeah, he shook my hand in his hands when I
Shook your elbow?
Yeah, like up my elbow, literally. Thankfully, he shook my right hand and didn't break my wrist again.
Yeah, you got your cast off.
It's
That's kind
gone.
of cool.
It's gone.
Yeah, I still think you cut it off in the car. I don't
No.
believe they let you take it off.
I wouldn't have done that. As much as I wanted it gone, I don't think I could have done it.
Yeah, well, you got both your hands now, so that's cool. And then you almost broke your elbow when the guy shook your elbow.
Yeah, it was a little scary.
That's
but
cool.
Survived.
That's cool though. It was a fun game.
It was great. Yeah.
Got to eat some free chicken wings.
Free chicken, some walleye sliders.
Oh, nice.
Skip the pork tenderloin. It's not really my thing.
Gotcha.
Skip the veggies I had out. Had some nacho cheese dip and chips.
I like it. Trade the veggies for nachos.
Yeah.
What'd you do? Anything fun, Travis?
I guess
Well, that's
we're-
enough for Travis. So moving on.
Halloween decorations.
That's exactly it. My mom decided that she's going to start just sending all of her Amazon packages to my house, and now Halloween is
Well, she has to.
decorated.
She can't send it to her house right now.
Right. She doesn't even have a mailing address at her cabin, I
Yeah.
guess. So now I'm celebrating Halloween through the entire month of October.
Cool.
So
I
all
bet your
these
kid loves it.
Oh, dude, it's actually kind of fun.
Taylor thinks it's pretty
She
sweet.
literally spent probably like $300 on all the shit. Extension cords and timers, and one of them's a big blow up ghost, one of them's a little blow up ghost, and now I've got these two rock star skeletons. Today there's going to be a massive cat with like 6 pumpkins around it, and then on Monday there's going to be 2 witches
fire.
with a cauldron. And then I'm done because the entire front of my house is going to be a fire hazard now.
And
Did
next month you're gonna be pissed because your electric
Yeah, I
bill
was
is
just gonna say.
$400.
Oh, I don't know what it's going to be like. Yeah, it's-
Going to be shut off the light in the basement, but keep that pumpkin on in front.
Did she get you a fire extinguisher with all of that?
No,
She
she
should.
didn't. And I tapped off the power that's in my light fixture in my ceiling, just ran a 100-foot extension cord with another 25-foot extension cord. So it's probably against code, but we got power.
Sounds good for the rain
Seems-
coming this weekend.
Yeah, seems legit.
Oh, is there going to be rain? I don't know if those things can be out.
You know, when you said a cat with 6 pumpkins, I thought you were gonna say a giant cat with 6 legs. That's what I thought was coming.
These things they're ridiculous, and they're wind sails. So I have like 6 stakes in them, and I see so many around town that the wind's always blowing them over. So
Tell
I'm
your
just
kid to
waiting
hang on
for-
to it and go for a ride.
Yeah, I'm waiting for
The
a
neighbors are
windstorm.
mad about burnouts and a flying pumpkin.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so that's cool. You got all your decorations up.
We got 2 of them still coming, but we're getting there.
That's cool.
No.
Can never have too many Halloween decorations is what I've always said.
Fortunately, these things, when they deflate, they're just canvas, or not even canvas, whatever you want to call the material, but it just holds air in. So you just wrap them up and they don't take up much space.
You know what the easiest way to do to get rid of them at the end?
Just burn them.
No, when the trick-or-treaters come up, the last kids of the night tell them to take a pumpkin.
Tell them to take it home. Well, that's the thing is we never have
Like, we're out of candy,
trick-or-treaters
but I
at
got
our
a ghost
house.
here for you.
So it's like this year I'm just going to have to get a bowl of candy because obviously I'm not going to not have them on the day of Halloween. But
You don't give candy out?
I've never have, no.
You're that guy?
Well, it's
I
usually
egg your
because I'm
house.
taking my kid out.
I
but-
don't give candy out.
What?
I don't decorate either.
I don't decorate, but
I shut off all my lights and stay in the basement.
Oh, the Grinch starts in October, huh?
Well, not the Grinch.
man, like my kid looks forward to it so much that like I couldn't imagine not handing out candy. I go to the extent that I have my in-laws come down to my house, so when I take my kid,
They can still,
they can still hand out candy.
Nice.
Not me.
Yeah, we are raring and ready to go. I think my one kid's going as a grill and the other one's going as a banana.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's the plan.
I think
So-
I might just put a candy thing right in front of my Ring doorbell and just watch kids fight over candy the whole night.
The first kid's
Yeah,
gonna
just so
dump
you
the
know,
whole
the first
bowl in
kid
bag.
dumps the bowl in his bag, the rest of them get nothing.
Right.
But then you could sit there and yell at him. Hey, put the candy back.
Because I was gonna put a note there, say take one, please. You know, like I've
That's
seen
just
people
telling
do
them
that.
to take 20.
Yeah.
What if he sits there and watches on the ring and they come up and then
That would be
say,
funny.
put two of them back? That'd be hilarious.
You know what they're gonna do, Chad?
I'd run off with all the candy.
They're gonna flip the camera off and take the bowl.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, we're in a costume. You can't see who we are.
Yeah, they're gonna flip him off. They're gonna empty the bowl in his thing, and he's gonna yell at them. He's gonna flip him off again. And he's gonna steal the bowl too.
It would still be funny.
It would be funny.
I should go steal it.
See Nick
You,
walking.
you
up.
steal the candy and I'll pop all those pumpkins.
I'll be like, what the hell are you guys doing here? Just destroy my house.
Did you guys see the Halloween display that was like all over the internet where they made it look like their house was on fire, and then the fire department got called on them?
No, I didn't see
No.
That's
that.
funny though.
Yeah, they did this whole like thing where like it's a moving screen behind the like windows, so it projects fire. So it looks like fire in the house. Yeah, I guess the fire department got called. And
Oh,
they thought the
jeez.
actual house was on fire, but it was all just Halloween decorations.
That's awesome.
So that's this time of year where you can't always believe what you see. We got our Halloween carving contest coming up here in a few weeks.
Are you guys gonna dress up?
I am.
Oh man,
You dressing up?
I don't know. I might have to find something now.
You gonna dress up, Chad?
No.
Are you gonna dress up, Travis?
The only one I have is not work appropriate, so I'd have to find something.
Hey, you should go as Chad. You should go as Travis. Go as each other.
They both just look at each other like, "What is he talking about?"
Like, I don't know. I
better
don't know
yet,
how I
better
do
yet,
this.
because we're the only ones in the room. You guys should go as Micah and Hunter.
Do I have to walk in the building and go like, yeet, yeet?
Only if you're Travis.
Is that what they do, Travis?
yeah, something like that.
That's funny. Well, let's jump into it. I guess last week we talked at the end. We were getting into some topics, obviously, and we had talked about manufacturing processes a little bit. And I thought it'd be a good kickoff to kind of talk about what you should consider when considering the future, and specifically considering your manufacturing processes. And we're kind of getting into that time of year where a lot of businesses either slow down because it's the end of their busy season, or the other ones that are, as we talked about last week, kind of ramping up because it's starting their busy season. And manufacturing processes, to me, are something that are overlooked. I feel like, that's something that we do at ShopSabre. Let's talk a little bit about our businesses. I feel like we spend a lot of energy looking at our manufacturing and looking at our processes and always trying to make sure we're efficient with what we do. And it's, I think, what has made us so successful over the years is because we don't have to outsource our work, buy from other people. And, obviously outsourcing has its advantages. I mean, for one, you don't have to work as hard. But, the reality is I feel like you're putting the work on somebody else, and ultimately your reputation is riding on what they're doing.
Right.
Doesn't it take away a little bit of the profits?
Well, I
do.
think it depends on how you look at it, because some people look at it as it creates more profit because I don't have to buy a mill. I don't have to buy welders. I don't have to employ people because I can put all that on somebody else, and therefore the profits actually are higher because I'm just buying a finished good to from somebody else.
I got you.
So in some regards, they look at it as they're more profitable, right? But the reality is, if you look at it from only that side, then yeah, you maybe think I'm making more money. But as you said, Chad, if you start looking at like the grand scheme of things,
Long term.
long term, I think you do make less money. It's mainly because you can't control things. So lead times end up longer, or something is built wrong, and it delays that project. Therefore, you don't get your final payments, you don't get your money. And so now it's less profitable because you have more time spent doing that. And then the support side of things, I think, is really where we talked about it last week, support and customer service. You just can't support something if you haven't built it, in my opinion.
Right.
So when you start looking at it, I guess, yeah, that's one way to look at it. Profits, it's you give up some of your profits. Some people look at it as they gain some profits in some areas, but I think long term, you make more money by owning more of the process. That's my honest opinion. And from what we've done here at ShopSabre, I feel like it's allowed us to be more competitive. Not necessarily that we make more profit by doing it, but we make more profit only because we can be more competitive. Like, we don't have to have higher prices because I don't have to mark up for shipping to me. I don't have to mark up for the steel that I paid twice for, essentially. Because if, you, Chad, are building my product and you're buying the steel, you're going to pay a price for it, right?
Yep.
You're not going to charge me what you paid for it.
I'm going to mark that up.
You're going to mark it up, right?
Yep.
I mean, any good business is going to mark that up because I had to go get it or I had to have it delivered. There's costs associated with storing it and such. So now that steel, instead of being $1 a pound, is $1.10 a pound, right? Those are not real numbers, for the record. But, it's just a rough idea of like how that might work. So now instead of me paying $1, I'm paying $1.10.
Yep.
And the reality is you're getting the better discounts because you're buying in bulk. So now all of your projects that you are selling are cheaper. And so now you're making more profit on things. And I, the end user, only see what market value is on those prices, right?
Yep.
So even though if I don't think you're marking the steel up, right? Okay, today steel's $1.50 a pound. Okay, Chad, thanks for charging me $1.50 a pound. I feel like I got a deal, right?
Yep.
But the reality is, Chad, you probably paid $1.10 for it because you bought so much of it. Where if I brought it in-house, now I'm paying the $1.10 and saving 40 cents a pound.
Yep.
So,
And future steel is going to be less because you're buying more of it.
well, yeah, that, and then the fact that you start to build relationships with people. So, if I'm using high volume with you, like ShopSabre is another example, right? We buy a lot of parts.
Yep.
We use a lot of stuff because of the volume of machines we output. So when shortages happen, we probably have some pull when something does become available because are they going to give it to the guy who buys, only a handful a year? Or are they going to give it to the guy who buys thousands of them a year?
Thousands a year.
Right. They don't want to lose that account, right? They'd rather lose the guy who's only going to buy a handful a year. They don't care about losing that account. So to me, having that volume, and that's where having a vertically integrated manufacturing facility like what we have here, where we do so much in-house. We bring the steel in raw. I mean, we see the trucks half the time while we're doing this podcast. We hear them unloading trucks. But every day we get a steel load every single day. And then we cut the steel here in-house. We're not letting somebody else do that. And then we do all of our own welding in-house. And then we move on to the painting in-house and, all the things that happen subsequently after that before it becomes a CNC machine, right? Like, we've done all these processes, which allows us to vertically integrate so much and become such a better program because at the end of the day, we can actually check the different stages too. We're doing process engineering, where we're saying, hey, this isn't efficient. We can make it better. Therefore, reduce costs, right?
Yep.
Or, this doesn't work real well and it's not as accurate as it could be. Let's make let's get a tool that allows us to do this better so the machines are more accurate.
When you keep saying that, I keep thinking about the T-slot machine that they made out back there.
One of my favorite things.
They because they didn't want them taking time on the actual milling machines, so they fabricated their own machine to cut and drill the T-slots, so the mills didn't have to spend their time doing it.
Correct. Yeah, and you think about that. That's another piece of the puzzle that now we can afford to sell you product. I mean, that's I think the biggest thing. People, we hear it all the time. Like, how do you sell a machine that's so much cheaper than some of the more expensive ball screw machines? That's how. We're doing things in house that, to be honest, nobody else is doing. Like, it sounds like cliche when you say we're doing things they don't do, but walk around our building, you'll see it.
I think what all of those things that you just said should say to everybody is having control of all of your business and all of the aspects of it allows you to make those things like that happen. We don't have to rely on others to get things to you or to make things for you or whatever.
They're almost
it
like
entails.
a crutch in your business because if you look at it, if let's say, for instance, we were hiring somebody to do our milling for us, if that company goes out of business, their mill goes down, something like that, then now what do you do?
Sit around and wait.
That's the only person that you have to do that process in your business, and now you're stuck.
Well, let me look at it a little different than that even. Not even that if their mill goes out. What if their guy that operating the mill gets sick?
or quits or
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
you're so dependent on the person. Because that's another one, Travis. You make a good point there, especially in the world that we live in today where it's cutthroat.
Yep.
If that guy has a mill and he's doing all your milling process and the guy knows your product, right? And 6 months later, that guy gets a better job offer and leaves. Who knows your product now?
Correct.
Now your quality that you're outputting to your customer goes down because the operator they hired isn't as capable.
Yep.
And your business suffers. Do you think the end user is like, well, we understand that operator isn't as good? Like, no, they want to know why their machine sucks, right?
Right.
With us, we own it in-house. We know how to do it. So even if an operator quits, we know how to do it,
Yep.
right? We trained that operator. We have the procedures. We know what we're doing with it. The next man up mentality, right? We can keep going.
Well,
And
I think I see that a lot walking down to the shop multiple times a day. Is that there's guys out there.
you
that
see people quitting a lot?
No, I see.
Oh.
I see guys running different.
I got nervous there.
No, but you see different guys running all sorts of different machines out there running.
Yep.
You know, the mills
Yeah.
that are cutting parts. You see different guy running those things every day, so you know that if somebody's not here one day or has vacation or whatever, nothing's going to slow down because you can have somebody that can jump into their spot and do it.
Well, we really do a good job of cross training around here. Like that's the one thing I would say about ShopSabre is that we have a lot of people that know how to do a lot of different things. Like you're not just trained to do one thing. Like even you're a perfect example, Nick, right? Let's talk about it. You're here for, customer support, right? You help a lot of customers with their status updates on their orders. You get, manuals out to them. You do some of that stuff.
Yep.
But you also know how to do all the shipping stuff. So when Brianna needs, to go on vacation or Brianna is sick or something happens, you can jump in and we don't not ship machines that day.
Correct.
And vice versa. When you're out, Brianna can jump in and answer customer updates and help. Like each of you have your own duties, but you both know how to cross, reference each other's jobs, so that way the customer at the end of the day doesn't, get hurt on that.
Right. And what Travis doesn't know is on days that he's out, I'm going to pretty soon here, I'll be able to jump into his desk and start selling machines too.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. You're just being a smart ass, but I was actually going to give you a kudos because there's certain things that we know on our day to day that you'll just call me in or you'll shoot me an email and just say, hey, man, how do I answer this? Not that you're trying to pawn the work off on me. You actually want to learn it so
Right.
you can help the next guy. Like, that's what I love about all of what we do here is because we're not cutthroat, thankfully, and we're all willing to help each other out, even if it's not our job.
For sure. Because at the end of the day, if I don't keep your customer happy, it's going to be me that has to hear about it. Or you vice versa. You can come
Yep.
back to you and say, hey, I'm trying to get this answer.
Yep.
Been trying to get it for a week. I haven't heard from anybody. What's
Yep.
going on?
Yeah, and I think that's what this topic today has really been about for me was just making sure people think about that, in their business as they start talking about their manufacturing processes, is thinking about things you can bring back in-house that you can control. And if you're paying somebody right now to do your CNC work, like it might be time to start talking to us and, looking at ShopSabre and, adding a CNC router or plasma here at the end of the year specifically because, well, there's really good deals on them right now.
And if nothing else, like I said last week, is that one particular customer looked at what he's charging or what he's being charged for outsourcing. Most people don't realize how much they're paying somebody to do something that they could bring in for a fraction of the cost.
ShopSabre.com.
You're going to have to switch that to the new ShopSabre.com.
The new ShopSabre.com. Yeah, no, it's but that's truth. Like, go there, check it all out. Obviously, keep checking it out because this week it's going to be coming out with a whole bunch of new stuff. So I'm excited. But that was kind of where I wanted to go with the manufacturing processes. I just thought it was a good topic for us to kind of carry into to kind of get today's episode started. Is that all you got?
No. Oh, we're going to next topic. Eh?
Yeah, I thought you told me you had something you wanted to talk about.
Well, no, I did. I've always wondered.
I literally pointed at him before I ended.
I wasn't smooth. I wasn't paying attention.
Smooth transition.
No, but I'm just kind of wondering how many people out there have business ideas that they want to turn into a reality, or people that have turned an idea for a business into reality and how they've gone about it. I know I can kind of go back and tell a quick story about how I got into my photography.
Yeah.
Me and my fiance bought a camera to take pictures of our daughter when she was born, and that was kind of the reasoning behind going out and spending that money to have it, so we could just do it on our own and always have that. That lasted for like 2 months, and then I started using it for everything besides taking pictures of our daughter, and it just kind of blossomed into, a small business on the side for me. I never really thought that I had any interest in or any knowledge of, or the mind behind doing it, and it just kind of turned into that. So I've had other ideas, once I started here with things you could do on a CNC to turn into a business, but how do you take that business and turn it into a reality?
The one thing I always ask people is, like, you always hear people say, like, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. But I think it's the biggest bullshit statement that's ever existed.
Why?
Because like once you do it for work, you don't love it anymore. I think the majority of people, it becomes something they want to get away from.
I agree.
Like, right? I mean, if you golfed every day, Chad, for a living, do you think you'd enjoy it anymore?
No,
I don't know.
I can answer that question.
Probably not.
No, I know that. Like,
Well, it's like Nikola Jokic or whatever, the basketball player.
yep.
Yep.
He absolutely hates his job, and he was like the NBA MVP and
Yeah.
NBA Finals champion.
Yeah.
And like hates going into like work. Like they just showed him mopey walking into the stadium. Like there's hundreds of thousands of people that want to do that, and
Correct.
the guy that can do it doesn't want to.
Well, that's exactly it. I think that's why when you start looking at people, it's like grass is always greener on the other side. It's not.
It's definitely not.
They're looking at the other side thinking your grass is greener. You know, it's easy to want something you don't have, but then once you have it, to want something else. And I think that's where the business thing comes in, is that, you know, a lot of people don't realize the hard work that goes into businesses. It's not, you know, I think what's funny is like I have a lot of friends of mine that are business owners, of course, but then I have probably equally as many friends who are not business owners, who work for businesses. And the ones who work for businesses commonly think the ones running the businesses are, you know, oh my God, you guys are able to do whatever you want, whenever you want. You know, you don't have to go to work tomorrow if you don't want to. And it's like,
That's not the case.
they actually work less hours than I do 90% of the time. They don't realize it though, because they only see the days that I am not at work, right? Like they see those days where, oh man, it's must be nice to have the guys be able to do something. Like they don't realize that like how much work goes into doing that. And so when you start thinking about, as you said, how do you turn ideas into business? Like the first thing you have to understand is that like there's work that goes into being a business, right? There's stuff you're gonna have to do that there's gonna be days when you want to go hang out at the beach and you need to be at the office.
100%.
You know? And that being said though, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. Like I love it. I love being here day in, day out. I would not trade it for the world. Like I do love what I do every day, but you guys have seen it. There's days. Chad had a famous phrase when I walk out in the sales floor and I say, hey, how you guys doing today? Chad, what's your famous response to that?
Better than you.
And it's the truth because, you know, this is something that was said to me many years ago and it stuck with me. Actually, Router Bob is the one who actually kind of had stated at one time, and it's the truth, is he said, you know, as a sales guy, you win on some days. Am I correct? There's days that you guys win in sales, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Like you make a sale and you know that you've won because the other company, you know, was trying to mislead them or whatever it was, and you were able to overcome that and help this customer, and you see the customer's success. You won that day.
Yep.
That's a win for you. Like it's nice to be able to sell something, but it's also nice to see the success of what you've sold. Once you get into like owning a business, your best days sometimes are just draws, days that you didn't lose, because you know there's a lot of days when you feel like you've lost. Right? You're getting beat up. You know, there's things happening. It's not just customers, but it's, you know, it's vendors, it's employees, it's, you know, all the other stuff that goes into running a business. And those days are like, man, I'm just glad when I drew even, you know. You're so consumed with doing stuff. Like I love selling. It's my favorite thing to do is talk to our customers and actually help them. I don't get to do it much. Like my favorite time of year for me is when we're at the shows, because I get to talk again about the product and be a salesman and actually talk about who we are. I don't have to worry about any of the stuff behind the scenes when I'm at a show, right? I don't have to worry about taxes and vendors and, you know, have to deal with that stuff. I get to truly enjoy talking about the product and showing who we really are. But then when we get back here, it's like all the stuff behind the scenes that got to keep the lights on. Today I'm working on a garage door because the garage door was broke, you know? Like that stuff, like that's not the stuff that I got into CNC to do. When I signed up, like I said, hey, I want to get into CNC with my dad, and this is what we're going to do. I didn't think about that. You're going to be working on the days when it's getting chilly out and you're fixing a garage door.
But those are the things that all those people that think you just get
Correct.
to live this happy
Yeah.
life of doing nothing don't see
Yeah.
and don't realize it happened on the days that you're here.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I always say, like, rather than choosing to do, you know, certain things, like make sure that it's something that you truly want to get yourself involved in. You know, like that to me is like a really big part of the business side. But then, you know, as you get into it, as you said, you know, Nick, how do you turn it into a business? Well, I think a lot of it is find out something that you know a lot about. I mean, that's really where I start is find out something you seem to gravitate towards. You know, even in your case, you bought a camera, right?
Yep.
You learned a decent amount about cameras. and you started to understand how to use them, and that's kind of what gravitates you to the next level. I think it all comes with education. You can't get into business with no education.
No,
Like-
and I think you have to have realistic expectations on what it's really going to be. Like,
Correct.
Everything's going to start out small, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets to a point over time where it grows and grows and grows, and then it gets to a point where it sometimes can be too much.
Correct.
And you got to
You have to choose that. I think you have to choose how big you want a business to be.
For sure.
And when I say education, I want to make sure I back up. When I said you can't get into business without education, I don't mean like you have to go to college. There's many very successful business owners out there that have never been to college. I'm not saying that you need college to do it. I'm saying you need to be educated in what you're getting yourself into.
Absolutely.
You need to like if you say you're getting into selling balloons, you better understand everything there is about balloons, right? If I'm going to you to buy balloons, I'm expecting you to tell me more about it than I'm going to tell you about it.
I agree.
So to me, that's where like that goes, is that you just have to get educated on what you're trying to do, and then from there you determine how to make it a reality. It's bringing ideas to life really depends on what the idea is. Because if your idea is I want to become a professional football player, that's going to take a little different work than if your idea is I want to be a cabinet maker. Right?
Definitely a different path, and definitely probably a little less amount of work that goes into it, but still at the same time you got to put in the effort to get to
See, and I don't think
the
it
highest
is.
level.
I don't think it's any less work. And that's why I say that. Is being a cabinet, owner, like an owner of a cabinet business, is no less work than becoming a professional athlete, or no less complicated than becoming a professional athlete. The difference is the people who become professional athletes have literally prepared all their life for that. That's all they've done since they were young, and their parents prepared them and spent the money and the time. But to me, you have to still have to be a top producing business. You have to have some skills. You have to have skills that the average person doesn't necessarily have. So maybe not everybody can go out and say, I'm going to be a professional football player and become a professional football. Because to be honest with you, if I said I want to be a professional, lineman, and then Chad is my opposing guy, I'm probably going to lose this battle 10 out of 10 times.
That's where, with that example, you need some qualities to get into the NFL
Correct.
that you don't need as a business owner.
But I don't agree with that, because I think you have to have some qualities to get into
But
being
if
a
you're
business owner.
if you're 5'4", 120 pounds, the chance of you getting in the NFL are pretty slim to none.
Correct.
Just based off of what you were born with.
Correct. But that being said, that's what I'm saying, is that I don't think that
That same guy could own a cabinet shop, no problem.
True. He could physically, it's maybe not as important, when we talk about sports, and obviously sports is my example there, but there's certain ways that you're just not going to be successful in certain things. And there's certain people that are just born with the wrong mindset. They're not going to be good business
mental,
owners.
mental,
It's
for
just
sure.
maybe not like 5'4", doesn't get me into the NFL, but you know what? If I have the right mindset, there's many people that are built, 6'6",
You could play
250 pounds that are not going to be able to run a business.
And then if you could go a different sports route, or you
Correct.
could do a different,
Correct. I could be a jockey.
like those athletes that start off as
You need to be light and little.
that start off as quarterbacks, but then when they get to the higher level, they move to a wide receiver or a,
Travis Kelce.
Yep, exactly. There's
Travis
a bunch
Kelce
of
was a
them.
quarterback, and he got kicked off Cincinnati's football team. Did you know that?
I watched the documentary thing.
Did you? Yeah. He got kicked off it, and then his brother went to bat for him. For anybody that didn't know that, went to bat for him. When he came back, the coach said, I don't need a quarterback. I need a tight end. You'd be a good one. Okay, I'll try tight end. That seemed to work out for him.
It's adapting and changing.
That was the comparison they used in the game last night when Jacoby Myers was getting all the passes and Devontae Adams wasn't getting any.
Yep.
They said, "Oh, he's a former quarterback. He knows how to do it better than Devontae Adams to get the passes thrown to him." And it was kind of a weird comparison, but at the same time, it made sense because they sold it out to be like this dude had the experience of a quarterback to know where to just go. Where Devontae Adams just has raw talent and is just good.
Yeah.
And knows to run his route, but does Adams know that it's cover 2 and that the outside linebacker's blitzing?
Right.
Is he paying attention to that, or is he
I
just
think that's-
worried about
I think that's what they were getting at. Where
Yeah.
him as a quarterback could tell
Yeah.
down the field.
they're
more than
about to
the
blitz? I'm going to do an out route
Yep.
to quickly get open.
Yeah. Aliens wear purple hats. Do you hear that, Travis?
What? I was just wondering why Taylor Swift wasn't at the game. That's all I knew.
Oh man, you had to go there, didn't you?
That's funny. No, but the point of what we're talking about here is just in business. Like, if you're in business right now, you're already doing things that there's a lot of people that are afraid to do.
Absolutely.
Like, they're afraid to do it. Like, you've already taken a risk that a lot of people are afraid to take. So it's like, you have to remember, you're already in your own group of people, like, there's a lot of people out there that don't want that risk. They don't want to take it. Like, it's a lot.
I thought that when I started here, like talking to all these people on the phone and
Yep.
seeing, it was smaller when I started. Like, oh man, I want to start my own thing, and then you see some issues, and then think about the people and
Yep.
everything else that comes with it. It's like maybe I'll punch in and
Yeah.
leave at 5 o'clock.
You know what? But that's fine because you know what makes good businesses run?
Good employees.
Good employees. And there you still and if you're one of those guys listening, you're like, I don't want to be the guy that takes the risk. There's many people out there that work their way to the top of a corporation through hard work.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, it takes more of those people to be successful than anything because every business has its challenges. But my favorite thing about our business is the people. It's being able to help people accomplish their goals in life. And we've said it 100 times. How many times have I said it? You can have anything you want in life as long as you help enough people get it, right?
Yep.
Like my goal has always been to hire people from within our organization as we promote. Like we're really good about that. Managers traditionally work from inside of our corporation. We try to build our business from the inside out because who knows your business better than your employees,
Correct.
right?
The owner.
The owner, hopefully. Hopefully. But not all of them. So how many businesses aren't owned by the guy who founded it,
Yeah. Fair enough.
right? I mean, there's like you go to Target. Do you think the owner of Target, do you think they understand? And I'm guessing at this point it's probably a conglomerate of people. But, do you think they know Target better than maybe some of the people who've worked at Target for 30 years?
Probably not.
Probably not.
No. I bet the people
Unlikely.
Yeah, I'm going to bet people inside there probably know more about the business. You know what I'm saying? But it's just, so there is a point where business gets too large and then you lose that. I think that the people we're talking to and the large group of people here, it's a passion. You got to have that passion. And I think to answer your question, Nick, how do you take an idea and turn it into a business? You got to have passion. You got to drive it with passion. As soon as you lose the passion, I feel like you lose the business.
For sure.
I think so. Because you don't care about quality and some things that you would, otherwise.
I think that's why so many businesses struggle once the ownership changes, is because the passion leaves. Where, if you built the business around a culture, right? I think that's the thing is the culture at ShopSabre is like no other. That there's so much passion that I don't even have to walk in the room for the passion to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like I walk in and you guys are already like trying to figure out how to improve things or what we could do. Like you guys bring ideas to me, like what we could do differently. How can we make this better? Let's do this more. Like people like this. I think that says a lot about the business, is that we do things that the average person has to be told to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it goes back to it. We all have the passion.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never worked at a place as long as I've worked here, and I plan on working here another 7 years. That's
Oh,
my main
man.
goal. I know. I'm sorry, guys, but
That was a way.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, you really deflated that.
just
whole
really
thing.
killed everybody's passion in the room, didn't I?
Yeah, man. We were like,
No.
yeah, it was not good. God, no, we don't want you here that long. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's the truth. Like you said, it's nice to be able to bring people in. I mean, Nick, you came from an industry you knew probably more about than any person I've ever met in my life. Golf, right?
Yep.
That's why we joke about golf, because you came from the golf industry. You spent 20 plus years in the golf industry. Am I right?
Yep.
You knew a lot about that. It's hard to leave an industry that you know a lot about.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
And then you jump into the CNC world that you knew nothing about. And that's the difference of transition. Like you're changing it, but the passion you have for taking care of people didn't change.
No,
like you
not at
took
all.
care of people in the golf industry, and now you're taking care of people just in the CNC industry. So I think that's what's made you successful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, talk to that a little bit. Maybe
100%. I mean, I've always kind of had that mentality of wanting to help the people, and working in golf and being able to help people with their golf game, their swing, just helping them get better at the game and enjoy the game more was always very rewarding. But when it got to the point where it was taken away from being able to, grow up, watch my kids grow up and instill things in them that I wanted them to enjoy, that was when it was time to, make a change for the better and find something that was more of a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, so I could, be at home with them and not just spend my life away working and not have that.
Well, I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
Among other things.
is that basically you?
Pretty much, yeah.
Does help that you have good work ethic. I mean, you're usually the first one here and right to business.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how I am. Like, I have realized that have that time where I can do things that don't interfere with you guys getting things done with the, printing of things and whatever else. And I just enjoy that quiet time of being able to focus on my own stuff, and it works out to benefit all of us.
You gonna take that one, or are you gonna leave that softball there?
You can take it.
No, I'm good.
I must have missed it.
No, Travis just jumped in when he said, "You're the first in," and then he just kind of paused, and me and Chad looked at each other because we were expecting something else to come out of his mouth next. But he,
I wasn't gonna make it about me. But I was.
You're the
confused
first one, and I'm the second.
yeah,
I was waiting for one of you guys to make.
I was waiting for him to say, you're the first one in. You're the first one in. I'm the first one out.
Today you were the fourth one here, Travis. Come on now.
Fourth.
Yeah, you were fourth here today, bud.
Jose
Oh,
and
yeah.
Kyle
were
was here
both
early,
here
too.
before you.
Kyle was not thrilled when I said, "Man, already here, huh?" He like, looked at me. I forget what he said, but it was something smart.
You just could understand because he had a mask on.
He said,
Sounded like Kenny from South Park.
"Yeah, no, it's one of those things where I would say that there's a lot of passion in our business, and I think in your business, as you're listening to this, like you got to find that passion. Like find out how do you cause that passion to be contagious." You got to find a way to make people in your business enjoy it as well. And maybe, one thing to point out is, CNC technology is another great opportunity there for you because, if they enjoy coming to work every day and doing what they do, if they're passionate about it, they're going to make your business better too. So maybe cutting parts by hand is starting to wear them out, right? Maybe it's
Starting to
time.
get old.
Yeah, maybe it's time to give them a, new piece of technology that, a lot of shops are using and, maybe upgrade the broken one that you're running. Maybe if you're running something that doesn't do it efficiently, it's time to invest some money in your business because that passion alone might cause you to move to a new level,
Right.
Well, and I think too with not just business, but everything in life, really, you have to give a little and put a little bit into it instead of always just take from it, right? So you put a little bit into your business, put a little bit of money in your business, put a new machine in your business, and it's going to give back to you for years to come.
Well, I think that's that's something else that we could talk about a little bit here, kind of at today's episode, is kind of what the world's become. It's kind of become cutthroat, if you will. In some way, like everybody's so willing to take all the time that I don't feel like everybody contributes anymore the way that maybe we did in the past. It's because, and I think everybody's kind of become cold to that, like take as much as you can right now kind of a deal,
Yeah.
And the unfortunate side of that is, it seems like if everybody's taking, who's contributing?
Good question.
Like if we all continue to take away from something, like eventually there's nothing to contribute anymore.
Like for what? What's an example?
Like just in business in general. Like I think if you start thinking about like the employees, a lot of times, easy example is like when I started in sales, it was always about being there and putting the work in and doing what you got to do, and like everybody, all jobs was, you had to be at the office, you have to do stuff. And now it's like in today's generation, nobody wants to be there, right? They expect the employers to cater to them not wanting to be there and to have to be at home or to, this doesn't work for my schedule. It's like so much more about like them. And then the businesses on the flip side are like the exact opposite. Before they'd be like, oh, little Timmy has T-ball tonight. You should go. You should be a part of it. And now businesses are like, well, you need to be here. Like, it's like, so they're expecting you to give up your personal life. You're expecting them to allow you to give up, or to give up work. And like neither one of you want to give anything. So eventually like these, people are just pulling away from each other. And I think that's where like the lack of like pride in a job nowadays kind of, I think when my parents were younger, when I was, a kid, people held on to jobs a lot longer.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Because again, I think there was that they both were contributing, right? The parents were giving to this business. There was, like I think about like the sense of pride that parents had in like working at the same place for 30 years, right? Like just that sense of like always contributing. And then the employers, were different back then too. Like it was a very different like feel, I guess, back then. But now it's like I feel like it's shifted a lot where we all, like everybody in the world is just taking all the time from everything. So it's like everybody's like each other's enemy.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I just kind of go back to well, back then, like when I started at the car dealership, every year you were up for a yearly bump. It was like 2 years in, they quit doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So the benefit to stay there is you're going to get a percentage of living cost increase.
Yep.
Pay more. It goes away. And companies now, I feel like, spend more money to hire a new employee than they do to retain
the
old one.
Yeah, that's a good point because I think there are a lot of companies that do think that way, that they just replace people. but they forget that they lose all that experience, and that sense of understanding, again, the business, right? Again, it goes back to that pride for the business. If I understand your business and I've done it a long time, there's a sense of pride there. But at the same token, I think the world got so expensive so quickly that like it's a flip side, right? You look at both sides. It's a double-edged sword because I want to keep paying people, right, as they keep going. But eventually the person caps out, right? Like I can't afford to you can't make $200,000 a year, working on the service drive.
Well, each position would have its cap,
But that's what I'm saying,
A car runner or whatever
Yeah.
would be $20 an hour. It's cap.
But I
you
don't
would start
think-
at 14, and you would slowly get there.
But does that exist in today's world anymore?
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't think so because now the benefit is to gain experience in something, and then quit, and then go with somewhere else with that experience, get paid more, get more experience, quit, and go to the next place with more experience and a higher pay to get paid more to start.
Yeah, and I think you missed what I was saying there, though. Is what I was trying to say with it was not about that. As I'm saying, I don't think it exists anymore. Where like before, your goal was, Chad, you're a perfect example of this. I'm going to use your history a little bit here. You started as a car runner,
Exactly.
okay? And your goal was to move out of the car runner to be in parts.
Well, the ultimate goal was the
somewhere
service
else.
drive.
Like, yeah, exactly. Your end goal was bigger, but
Yep.
it was I have to get to this position to get to this position to get right. So you climb the ladder.
Correct.
Nowadays, I feel like it's the service runner, and I deserve to make as much
Yeah,
money as they
I
got. You know
see
what I'm
what you're-
saying?
yep,
Like,
exactly.
So eventually, the business is like, I can't keep giving you a bump every year because you don't want to like if you want to take on more responsibilities and move to that next level. There's a
Then
bump
do it.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yep.
if you're not willing to take on more responsibilities and you're
And
not
you
willing
just
to,
want
but you just
to
want to
pay-
be paid
yeah.
like the other guy.
That's
like,
not going to happen.
Correct. And I think that's where like that argument in the world came of people need to make, $15 an hour minimum doing this. And then, it starts to raise everybody's wages because why is the guy doing less than I'm doing making the same as I've historically? So then everything starts to go up and then the world gets more expensive, right?
Yep.
And that's where, to me, as a business owner, you got to think about CNC technology.
Yep.
Like eventually you're going to price yourself out of the market if you don't price in technology.
The CNC machine's not asking for raises.
The CNC machine doesn't care what the other one makes.
It doesn't want to end a year bonus.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, that is the truth. Like,
Yep.
I would rather pay a really good operator, or I'd rather, a lot of businesses need to think
We
about this
have
way.
one.
Yeah. Like, think about it this way. There's a lot of CNC machines out there that do different things, not just CNC routers like we sell, but I'm talking about machines in general. But how many businesses start off with a handful of really good employees?
Good majority.
Yeah,
Probably.
Sam,
Probably
good
how
majority,
they all
probably,
start,
right?
yeah.
That you always have like the core group of people who really were passionate and made this thing kick off, right?
Yep.
And then it's hard to replicate those people.
Yep.
So the best way to replicate those people is efficiency. So then you start to add, again, coming back to the world being cutthroat, right? You got to keep going, but I can't add another Chad. It might not exist, right? Or I can't add another Nick or another Travis. Like, so the next is develop a system that Chad, Nick, and Travis can use that spreads the workload out and the same guy can operate it. So again, if you have a really good cabinet maker in your shop, a guy who cuts stuff, he's phenomenal, but he can't keep up with the demand, right?
Yep.
So now he can run machines. It's easy to add 2 machines and then a third machine and a fourth machine. You can keep adding equipment, and now that one guy's skill is spread amongst equipment.
Yep. I see what you're saying.
And you see what I'm saying? So
Yep.
like machine 1 doesn't care that machine 2 is out producing it today.
Yep.
It doesn't bug it. It doesn't care. The operator's happy because he's getting 2 things done at once.
Yep.
And like now there's that sense of contribution, right? The operator understands what he's doing and bringing and there was a big push like when CNC became like, I remember this like 10 years ago, like when it was becoming like a thing, like it was like really starting to become a thing, and operators were getting really like skittish of machines. Oh, they're going to replace us. No, they're not. Like they still need you. If you're as good of an employee for the company as you say you are, the machines doesn't run itself.
You would have other
still have to run
skills
it.
too.
Like, yeah, like there's so many things that the company, your benefit. But the ones who really like the machine's gonna replace me, it's because you weren't contributing to the company.
Yep.
Like you were taking from the company, and now the company found a way to contribute, right? So I think that's where, like, as an employee, if you're listening to this, like, it's a way to contribute to your company. Is like, hey, show them that there's a more efficient way to do it.
Yep.
Add technology, do things to make the business more money, and guess what? It's gonna bump your pay. They're gonna look at you as a value to the, I've always said that the most toxic person to a business is the one who thinks that they're so valuable because they know everything.
Or the one that thinks the place is going to shut down because they no longer work there.
It's my
Those
favorite.
are my favorite.
My favorite comment you hear from people is like, they're gonna be nothing without me.
That place wouldn't know what to do if I wasn't there.
I hear people say that like when you're out and about and talking to people, like it's such an arrogant statement that I'm like, do you really believe that? Like seriously, because like more than likely, I mean, yeah, it might struggle, but no business, unless the owner himself with all the knowledge, leaves, like maybe. But the reality is like any good manager, any good employee, any good operation leader, whatever you want to call it, is better when they can teach people.
Yep.
The more people that know how to do it, the more valuable you are to the company.
Yep.
I would rather hire 10 people that can explain how to do their job efficiently and make the company run efficient than to have one guy who knows how to do it all with tribal knowledge. Because tribal knowledge is the most deadly thing there is for a company.
Yep.
Like, how do you do this? I don't know. You got to go ask Harold.
I'm not going to show you.
Well, where's Harold? Oh, he's off today. Well, cool. Now the company can't do its job because Harold took the day off and didn't want to teach somebody. Like, to me, it's about teaching people.
Don't they say that's like the tail waving the dog?
Yeah, you can't let the tail wag the dog. Yeah.
I've never heard that one.
Unless you're a
That's
boxer.
because you're the tail. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Unless you're a boxer. The boxers all wag from their tail first. But yeah, it's the truth. Like, I think that was a good, kind of roundabout way to get to the point, right? We talked for a little while to get there, but that's what I mean by the world becoming cutthroat. Like, there's so many things that we're all like, if you're contributing to each other, like, it'll be a better place. Like, if you show the ownership how you can make more money and, hey, we can be more efficient, and the ownership then is equally willing to buy in on that, like, hey, you know what, let's do it. You're right. This will do, rather than being like, well, you just need to work harder. Like, no, like, I'm showing you how we can be more productive. And if you both work together, you make more money.
Yeah, no, you always want to learn. Like, I always want to learn
Absolutely.
whatever I can here.
Yep.
Just like I did at the car dealership. I started off my first car when I was 16. I didn't change the oil, and I blew up the engine. By the time I was like 27 or 28, I was the assistant manager of a big Chevy dealership. Like, I went from blowing up an engine to managing a repair facility.
Yeah. No,
So
you're
like-
100% right. And it's kind of funny because we had the same journey there. Like, I went from being 16 years old with my first car and blew the engine up too and knew no idea on how to fix a car. And my dad was like, good news, you're going to figure it out.
You'll start figuring it out.
Yeah, and like I figured it out, and now I literally I travel all over the United States racing. Like, you think I could do that if I didn't know how to fix a car? Like, it's these life experiences that start with like stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Well, and two, all the people along that journey where I was learning how to do the cashier, learning how to change oil,
Right.
learning how to dispatch work, and people are saying, "Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that?" Well, it's because of where I am today.
Well, that's the difference is that there's two types of people in the world. People who want to help you succeed, and they're going to help you get there, like teach you how to do things.
Yep.
And then you have the people who are going to try to hold you back because they don't do it.
Correct.
Why should you do that? Like, why are you doing it? Because they are worried about how you're making them look.
Correct.
Like, the reality is you're holding the company back, you're holding me back, you're holding people back, you're holding yourself back. When if you just put in a 10% more effort, you could go so much further.
Yep.
But people think like in that mindset of like, there's nothing I can do about it.
But there is.
But there is. There's always like something small, even if it's not huge, something small you could do differently. Like, and I'm just gonna ask it. If you're standing there and you just swept up the floor every day, right, in your shop, if you're hearing me this right now, and you're sitting there going, there's nothing I can do, but do you sweep every day? Because if every day you picked the broom up right before you went home and you just started sweeping up, right, you don't think the ownership's gonna notice that? Mm-hmm. They might not notice it at day one, but you do it for 365 days, I'll promise you in a year they've noticed it.
For sure.
And that's
And-
something simple.
And and it's so simple. It takes you 10 minutes to do it.
Yep.
But the reality is everybody's so worried about, I got to get in the truck. I got to go, I'm going to watch the football game.
It's not my problem.
Exactly. It's not my problem, right? Travis made a comment earlier, like that mentality of we don't have it, it's not my job, right? But there's so many people that walk through life with that mentality of like, it's not my job. Like, I'm even the guy that like, I'll go to this, supermarket or whatever. And if I see trash on the ground,
Pick it up.
I pick it up every time. Like, it's just, I think it comes from here. Like, if I see trash, I pick it up. But like, I'll do it. I'll walk through the parking lot. I'll pick something up and I'll just throw it in the trash. Do I expect, Cub Foods to come walking out? Way to go, Brandon. Thanks so much.
You get a free loaf of bread
yeah,
today.
like, no, it's about just doing the 1% more that the average person doesn't do it. And you know what it does? My kids see me do it. And now my kids do it. My kid's 9. And I watch my kid pick up stuff at place and throw it in the trash. And it's like, we'll go to restaurants and my kid will be, at bathrooms, a perfect example, right? You walk in and somebody always misses the trash can with their paper towels. My kid will pick it up every time. Like he picks it up, puts it in the trash can, and then he just goes up and washes his hands. And I taught him that you wash your hands after it, right? But like I'm not touching that. Somebody has to.
Yep.
Right.
So if you don't do it, then it just looks like hell until somebody else comes along and has to pick up after the person.
Or the people that just purposely miss and say they pay somebody to do that.
Correct. It drives me nuts. But it's
I
like,
hate that.
But that's the mentality that I think in the world we've come to accept. Like I don't even let my buddies do that. If you miss it, like I call you out on it. Like, hey, go pick that up, dude. Or like you go to a sports event and people just leave their stuff. Like I always pick my stuff up and bring it to the trash can after the event's over.
Yep.
Well, they pay somebody to clean the stadium. Do you see how big this place is?
Right.
Like, why don't you just make their life like 1% easier?
If we all made everybody's life 1% easier.
But then I want you to think about that. Like, if we all just did the 1% more, would things be cheaper? I bet they would, because you don't have to spend as much time cleaning up. You don't have to spend as much time building that cabinet. You don't have to spend as much time doing this. Therefore, they have more profit to pay you.
You don't have to spend as much time looking for those screws or
Correct.
those
Every time you
hinges.
do 1% more, the ownership makes a little bit more, and 90% of people, it's a trickle-down effect. The company makes more money, they're going to hang on to good employees that are helping them make more money. If the company's losing money, guess what they have to do? They have to cut from somewhere.
And they're going to cut from the bottom.
They always cut from the bottom. You have to. You have to cut expenses. That's where you cut from. You don't cut from profit. You cut from expenses. So therefore, it becomes harder to keep raising people and doing things if the people aren't contributing, right? If you're contributing a ton, no business is going to cut that.
Yep.
I've always said that. Top contributors get top pay. So,
The way I can kind of contribute to this is like fishing, whether it's
we're
summer
done
or
already. But
winter.
thanks, appreciate it.
You've got these people, and like you said, you'll call out your friends, even my friends. I've seen them. They'll leave a beer can or something on the ice. Like, dude, you just drop that there. It's like, well, it's just gonna disappear. Yeah, to
It's
the
not.
bottom of our
Yeah,
lake.
Exactly.
And then people bitch about the price of, fishing licenses and everything else that you have to do in the outdoors world. It's because of people like that.
Yeah.
Our lakes are now polluted because of all the stuff that you're just letting sink into the lake.
Yeah.
that
And that's
pisses
exactly
me
like,
off.
I think that's like the difference in like, we're outdoors guys here. Like all of us, I think, like to get outdoors and, we're in sports and that. But it's like, you still have to like have the demeanor that like we all have to take care of things together, and it's
Correct.
like that exact, I guess I would say, I bet people would judge us and say, we don't care about that stuff. But like I do, like picking up trash matters to me, and like, just contributing to the business, helping employees. Like when I see somebody struggling here at ShopSabre, I walk up and help do their job. You know how many times I've been told to put the broom down? More times than I can count. I've been told by people, no, don't do it. I'll get it. I'll get it. I'm like, I'm not better than you. Like, I'll sweep. We're fine. You do that. I'll do this. And they just think that like I shouldn't pick up the broom. And like Jim, same example. It makes my dad so mad. He'll walk out and grab a broom because sometimes he actually enjoys just getting back to like doing something simple. And people will grab the broom out of his hand every time. And my dad's always like, it drives me nuts when people take the broom out of my hand because I'm not doing it because I feel like I shouldn't have to do it. I'm doing it because it needs to be done, and I'd rather do it right now than to focus somebody else from doing something more important.
Yep.
I definitely wouldn't grab the broom out of his hand. I'd probably turn around and go the other direction.
I would
he
ask
must be
him.
real mad about something if he's going to be sweeping right now.
I would ask if he wants me to broom.
But that's the thing, is that's exactly it. Like people just assume that like the CEO of the company shouldn't be sweeping. But that's the wrong mentality, right? If you were
Right.
putting him on this pedestal that says like he shouldn't have to do that. And like that's the whole like you got to treat everybody the same, right? Like treat, you're not any better than them just because your title says you are. You're still responsible for the same thing. And if we see something that needs our attention, we take care of it.
Yep.
Like I don't care what your title is here. If you work for ShopSabre, we're all a part of the same family.
Correct.
And hopefully in your business, as you're listening to this, yours is the same way. If it's not, hopefully you can be the one to start making that change and start, installing that culture and buying a ShopSabre.
For sure. Got some good deals going right now.
Yeah, it's the end of the year. We got a new website launching Thursday. We got Section 179 tax incentives are basically in full swing at this point.
Absolutely.
We got some no payment options right now for 90 days.
Can still deliver most machines in 2023.
Yep, most of the machines can be delivered before the end of the year.
Yep.
Actually, in fact, most of them can be delivered probably by next month still. A
Yep.
large majority of them.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, there's just really no reason why you should be putting this off right now.
Urgency.
Yeah.
Not procrastinating.
I think people are just trying to find reasons not to do stuff right now. We don't know what's going to go on with the economy. The economy's fine.
We heard that last year.
Dude, I heard
Right.
that if I got $1 for every time somebody said that and then nothing happened, I wouldn't be working right now. Like everybody has an excuse and they use the economy. It's such an easy cop out.
Yep.
The economy's going to be here whether you like it or not. It's going to go up and it's going to go down. It's going to go up and it's going to go down. And guess what? Your business still has to do the work. buy the machine. The machine's not going to be cheaper. I'm going to tell you this. If for everybody who in 1999 said, we got to see what's happening with the economy, didn't buy a CNC machine in 99, is the machine cheaper today?
No.
No.
Not even close.
The machine's more expensive. If you were going to buy a ShopSabre in 1999 compared to today, we were selling machines a lot cheaper back then. It only gets more expensive every year as the world gets more expensive.
Weren't the machines, like the really old machines, really expensive?
But yeah, it's all relative. I'm talking
Well,
about,
I know I'm
yeah.
saying, but weren't
Yes,
they like
if you're talking about like
a 1980s?
yeah, like the big machines were $500,000. But guess what? There wasn't another option.
Yeah.
You couldn't buy smaller machines. But if you just chose not to do your work for a decade,
We'll just do it the hard way for this decade.
yeah, like do you think you made more money?
Don't
Probably
worry
not.
about money in the 2030s.
Yeah, exactly. Like 2030, then we're gonna start worrying about making money. Until then, we'll do it the hard way. Like nobody says that. Like exactly. But it doesn't matter what you think about. Like it's not gonna get cheaper. Next year, products can go up. Cost of living goes up every decade. You know, it keeps going up. And the reality is, it's all relative. The price of the machines are gonna follow the world. You know, for what it is. So right now is the best deal you can get this year.
Absolutely.
Like you're a fool to not take advantage of it right now. Otherwise, you're going to write a check to the government instead of writing it to ShopSabre, and the government's not going to give you anything back for it.
And you'll probably still want to buy a CNC machine next year. So
Yeah, you might as well use that money and get something for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got today, guys. You got anything else?
I was going to ask a little bit ago when you were talking about all the good things you did at the car dealership. So when you were the assistant manager, were you basically the face of the Chevy dealer?
Basically, I was basically the assistant owner or assistant to the owner. I don't know which way it was worded, but
he was on a call the other day and he said something like that. I don't know what it was, and I said it.
I
out
just
loud.
said the word basically. And
Yeah,
they all
and I
lost
said
their
it out
mind.
loud, and he started chuckling while he's on the phone because he heard me say that. I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
For anybody who doesn't know the joke, is Chad walks around saying he's basically the face of ShopSabre, and then his statement always is basically. And so sometimes he tells me he's basically the top sales guy, and he's basically going to be the top this and the basically. And so we always joke with him about being basic.
Correct.
Yeah. He's just being basic about things. So no, it's pretty funny, but he is basically the face of ShopSabre at this point.
Basically,
Basically.
basically the face of ShopSabre. Router Bob, move over.
Well, with that, I'm Brandon.
I'm Chad.
I'm Travis.
I'm Nick.
That's basically Chad for the record. Thanks for talking shop with ShopSabre.